What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 266. Cannot wait to get into it and break it all down. It's going to be a phenomenal card. And what was supposed to be a 14-fight card is now a 13-fight card. We did lose the Manon-Fiora fight, but still 13 fights, a lot of great fights as well. Looking forward to it. I usually do my contest for DraftKings on pay-per-view cards, but won't be able to do that this week. I'll be in Vegas for the fights. Won't be able to send out the invites, but I will be doing a contest on my full card breakdown prediction video as well as my betting breakdown video. So check those out. But yeah, no contest for DK this week. We'll continue that on the next pay-per-view. So I say we get into it here. Before we do so, if you guys can leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Lots of content coming out throughout the week. My full card and breakdown prediction video is already posted. Went live with the guys on Pub Sports Radio on Tuesday. If you have not checked that out, go check that out as well. And yeah, going live Friday and then Saturday for the fights as well. So lots going on. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on all the content throughout the week. So as always, we're going to start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines, and there are a lot of fights that are projected to end inside the distance, but the top four here, starting with Martin Sano going against Matthew Semmelsberger. And yeah, for me, I just don't really see myself getting too much Sano at 6,800. It's going to be Matthew Semmelsberger for me, if anything. Semmelsberger, solid finisher. He has a 76% finish rate, finishing 63% of his wins by knockout, 13 by submission. And, you know, Sano, we have not seen him in a little bit over 4 years. He hasn't won a fight in, I think, like 7 years. So not really sure why Sano's coming here. More so probably because he is Nick Diaz's buddy. It looks like a bunch of pictures of them two together on Instagram, and that's probably why he's getting the call up here on this card. But yeah, I think Semmelsberger should probably run through him. I think Semmelsberger gets it done, probably inside the distance as well. But on the Sano side, just can't really get. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns. Maybe he's made improvements in the 4 or 5 years, but there's just so many unknowns. I think Semmelsberger for me or pass. Next, we have Shevchenko going against Murray. The same thing here. For me, it's going to be Shevchenko or pass. I don't see myself getting too much at Lauren Murphy, if any at all. At 6,700, I think Shevchenko is the way to go at 9,500. Obviously, very expensive, but there is a lot of decent underdog plays on this slate that I think it makes it easy to go up and get a Shevchenko here who has a ton of upside. I think she's better every single aspect of this fight. And yeah, again, it's me. For me, it's Shevchenko or pass. So another one, 3 in a row, where it's going to be Daukaus or pass for me. I really do like Daukaus in this spot. Not too high on Shamil. Shamil is now 40 years old, coming off of a 2-year layoff, coming off of a lot of health issues outside the cage. Daukaus has been phenomenal thus far in the UFC, multiple first-round knockouts, and I think there's a good chance that he does do it here once again. Shamil has been knocked out 3 times in his 5 losses. Again, he's 40 years old, big layoff. He's been pulling out of fights. I think it's a good spot for Daukaus to come in here and get another first-round finish more than likely. Daukaus, a 91% finish rate, very dangerous, 8,800. So again, for me, it's going to be Daukaus or pass. Don't see myself getting too much Shamil, Murphy, or Sano, which is weird because they are the 3 most projected fights to end inside the distance, but I think it's more because Semmelsberger is probably going to finish, Shevchenko is probably going to finish, and then Daukaus is probably going to finish. The other sides of those, I just don't see it. Speaking of, finishes, this is a fight that is more than likely going to finish here, and this is a fight where I'm actually going to attack both sides. It's going to be Uros Medic going against Jalen Turner. So Medic has a 100% finish rate. Turner has a 100% finish rate, and that's pretty much all you need to know. Medic is a madman. He comes out, and he tries to put you out in the first round. He's only been to the second round 1 time, and in that second round, he finished his opponent in less than 50 seconds. In that second round there, and then Turner is very good finishes as well. He has submissions on his record. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter, but Medic has the opportunity to come out here and just starch Jalen Turner. But if it does get into the second round, maybe the third round, I do think that more favors Turner because he has seen, the second and the third round, unlike Medic, who has never been over the 1.5 round mark. Either way, I don't see this fight lasting long. I think someone gets finished one way or another. Medic undefeated, never been finished, but there's a first for anything. And then Turner has been finished 3 times in his 5 losses. He's also been knocked out as an amateur as well. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Medic came out here and got a first round KO, or if Turner can very well get a finish himself. But yeah, this is going to be the fight that I'm highest on outside of the main event. I'm going to have a ton of lineups with this fight for sure. Moving on to the core plays here, Valentina Shevchenko talked about it a little bit. I just don't really see a path to victory for Lauren Murphy whatsoever. We have Shevchenko, who is like nearly a minus 2,000 favorite on some books, and I definitely understand why. I just don't see a path for Lauren Murphy to present any problems against Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko rolls. I think she finishes her as well. Lauren Murphy, very tough, very durable, but never been finished, but she's never faced Valentina Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko is going to dominate her, maybe finish her late, but really I see an early finish as well. I think she's very safe. I think she's probably a play you want to look for in cash as well. I mean, with a minus 2,000 favor, you're probably going to win in your cash games. And as far as tournaments, I think the upside's there as well. She's been doing very good, especially in her 2 past fights. She's been absolutely, destroying it in terms of DraftKings points. So yeah, I like Shevchenko. I think it's a big mismatch here. And just seeing what she did to Jessica Andrade last time, and I think Jessica Andrade is a lot better than Lauren Murphy. So kind of puts it in perspective there. But yeah, I think Shevchenko does get it done in very dominant fashion. A play I'm going to have quite a bit of, regardless of the price. Merab Dvalishvili, 8,900. When you think of Merab, you think of DraftKings points, right? You think of takedowns, and Marlon Moraes has a good takedown defense. He has a good get-up game, but that's only going to lead to more takedowns for Merab here. Anytime Merab fights, you're going to want to attack him because he has the takedown upside and a ton of takedown upside. That's what he does. That's all he does, pretty much. Not the best control time upside, but that, again, it just leads to more takedowns. So Merab in 100. I do have some worries in this fight. Marlon Moraes has fought the better competition. Merab is going to be taking a step up in competition here. Moraes is obviously very dangerous in the first round, whether it is by knockout or submission. So Merab's going to have to really mind his P's and Q's. But if he is able to get into that first round, I think Merab is in a smash spot here, to be honest. Like, Merab is somebody that has some of the best cardio in the division, and on the flip side, Moraes has some of the worst cardio in the division. So I think it makes a good matchup for Merab, but again, just has to survive that first round. So yeah, Merab, I like him a lot, 8,900. If he does win, it's going to score a ton, as always. Volkanovski, 8,600. So I'm going to be 100% owned on this main event. I just don't really see, especially at these price tags, how this fight does not, find its way on the optimal lineup, right? Like 8,600 for Volkanovski, got a 5-round fight, 2 extra rounds to work with. When he does win, he scores very, very well. Tons of output, landing over 6 significant strikes per minute. Brian Ortega is very hittable, absorbs a lot of punches, and I think Volkanovski, if he does win, it's going to score a ton of points. On the flip side, we'll talk about it, but Ortega as well, I think, is a phenomenal play, 7,600. Probably the more finishing upside in Ortega. He actually has a better inside the distance line as an underdog than Volkanovski has as a favorite here. So, yeah, a fight I want a ton of as a whole. For me, it's probably going to be more Volkanovski. I do think he wins this fight, but Ortega is very, very dangerous, and you cannot count him out. So I'm not going to go like 50-50 on it, but I might go like 60-40, something like that, maybe 55-45, because I think Volkanovski wins, but again, Ortega is very, very dangerous, and he did look like he leveled up in that Korean Zombie fight last time out. And then Maximov, 8,000. This is kind of a weird one, but if Maximov does win this fight, he's going to score a ton of points. Carl Roberson, a 45% takedown defense. Carl Roberson has been finished in all 4 of his losses, and all 4 coming by submission. So what has Carl Roberson struggled with throughout his career? The takedown defense, the grappling defense. And what is Nick Maximov very good at? Takedowns, has a wrestling background, grappling. I believe he's like a brown belt in BJJ, competing in grappling tournaments outside of MMA. So if Maximov is able to come in here and implement his game plan, he's going to score a ton of DraftKings points. The problem is, I'm not completely sold on the guy, but they're giving him a matchup where he can really take advantage of the flaws in Roberson's game. So I don't mind Maximov. Don't know if I'll go there in cash, but I think he has a ton of upside, especially at 8,000 in this fight in general as well. Because if Roberson's able to, stuff the takedowns, keep it on the feet, I think he's gonna have a massive striking advantage. But you take a look at Maximov and what he does. He fights smart, fights to a game plan, fights to his strengths, and goes for takedowns early and often. I've seen him go for takedowns within like the first 10 seconds of pretty much every fight. So I think you can't count him on there. A little bit iffy because he is making his UFC debut, but I think Maximov is somebody to consider at 8K. Moving along, GPP plays here are tournament plays. There's a lot of them. Curtis Blades, 9,200. Rosenstruck, I'm not sold on his takedown defense. On paper, it looks good, but we've seen him taken down by Overeem. We've seen him taken down by Junior Albini. We've seen him taken down by Cyril Gane. Anybody that's tried to take him down has been successful in doing so. And Curtis Blades is the best wrestler in the heavyweight division by a mile. So I think Curtis Blades is going to have success here. I think he's going to get on the inside, take him down, and then once he does get him down, I think it's going to be over shortly after. We saw Junior Albini get into some very dominant positions against Rosenstruck, wasn't able to capitalize. I think if Blades gets into those same dominant positions, gets into mount, I think the fight will be over shortly after. So I do like Curtis Blades. Of course, there is the threat of the knockout on the Rosenstruck side. we'll talk about that later in the video, but I think Curtis Blaydes, if he does win, there's a good chance it's a lot of takedowns, probably a finish. If there's no finish, I mean, he's still going to get takedowns, still going to get control time, and I think there's a very high ceiling for Curtis Blaydes, and I think it's a good bounce back spot after he got absolutely destroyed by Derek Lewis in his last fight. Moving on, Chris Daukaus, touched on him a little bit, 8,800. All he has been doing in the UFC, he's been getting first-round knockouts, and that's all he's really been doing throughout his career for the most part. Daukaus at 91% finish rate, 82% by knockout, 9% by submission. He's going to be the younger guy by I think like 9 years. He's going to be the faster guy. He's going to be the better striker, and I think he's going to have a ton of power, and I think he's going to knock out Shamil here. Shamil, he's not horrible. Like, Shamil's a really, really good fighter. It's just he's now 40 years old, 2-year layoff, bunch of health problems. He's been pulling out of fights. I don't know if he's ready. And Chris Daukaus is a young, in terms of heavyweight, up-and-comer, 31 years old, and he's been on fire, and I think he does continue that. I think he does knock out Shamil early. I guess the one thing I was worried about was Shamil potentially taking down Daukaus. But I don't know. Daukaus looks to be in the best shape of his career. He's a black belt in BJJ. I think Daukaus gets it done here in 8,800. I do like that in terms of tournaments. Omar Morales, 8,500. So this is a very interesting fight. It actually kicks off the card. Morales versus Pierce. Morales has not really shown to be much of a finisher. Only a 63% finish rate, 18% by knockout, 45% by submission. He is a black belt in BJJ, but the way Jonathan Pierce fights, it's going to open a lot of things for Morales in terms of maybe finding a finish here. Pierce is very, very hittable. Only a 46% striking defense. He's very, very sloppy in everything it does. So I wouldn't be shocked if maybe Morales was able to catch him by knockout, or maybe even potentially submit him. Like I said, he's a black belt. Pierce has been submitted twice in his career. At 8,500, I think maybe people will potentially look at the game log. He hasn't been scoring well, but just the way Pierce fights, I think it can open up a lot of things for Omar Morales to potentially find a finish early. If he does not finish Pierce early, then I do have concerns about it going forward. Pierce has a phenomenal pace that he keeps up throughout the fight. Tons of takedowns, tons of output as well. And I don't know if Morales will be able to keep up with that, but I think Morales, at least early, is going to have an opportunity to finish Jonathan Pierce just because of how open he is, how hittable he is, and how sloppy he is. And only 2 fights of Pierce have went to the scorecards, right? 14 fights for Pierce, only 2 of them have went to decision, and I wouldn't be shocked if another one did finish here as well. Uros Medic, 8,400, touched on a little bit. This is a fight that's going to be my second highest owned fight on the entire slate. Medic has been going out here and not just beating people, but beating them really handedly in the first round. Don't know if he does it to Turner, but hey, it's possible. Turner has been knocked out 3 times. He's been knocked out as an amateur as well. Medic is, probably somebody you really want to consider this week in terms of tournaments. Don't know if I'd go there in cash, but for tournaments, heck yeah, if he wins, it's going to be probably in the first round, and he's probably going to score a ton of Draftkings points. So Medic is somebody I like in terms of a tournament play. For cash, though, I'll probably stay away from him. Matthew Semmelsberger, 9,400 going against Martin Sano. Touched on it a little bit. I think he does roll here. Sano, so many question marks. But I've not seen him in 4 years. Has not won a fight in nearly 7 years. Semmelsberger has shown some good things. Lots of power, good finishing ability, good takedowns. And I think if he does go to that takedown game here, he can score a lot of points. Sano has showed poor takedown defense, very poor cardio. And I think Semmelsberger probably does finish him at some point. 9,400, a little expensive, but I do think he does get the win and does get it done inside the distance as well. Moving on to the live dogs, Brian Ortega, 7,600. He is very, very dangerous anywhere the fight goes, and we've seen that multiple times. If the fight hits the mat, obviously extremely dangerous, and doesn't even need to hit the mat at sometimes for him to get a submission, for him to snatch something up standing. And obviously on the feet, we saw how dangerous he was. He knocked down the Korean Zombie twice, a nasty spinning back elbow, and he has so much power, and Volkanovski's really going to have to mind his P's and Q's for 25 minutes. And what makes it so hard about this fight to call is Volkanovski's going to be winning the minutes of this fight, I believe. He's going to be outstriking Ortega, but at any moment, Ortega can land a really, really big shot and hurt Volkanovski, maybe put him out even at 7,600. There aren't a ton of plays I like in this 7K range, but Ortega is somebody that definitely does stick out in terms of the upside. He get an extra 2 rounds to work with, and he's going to have 25 minutes to find a finish. I don't believe he does win a decision. It's possible, but I think for Ortega to win, it's going to have to be by a finish. If he does win, it probably is by finish, and it is probably on the optimal lineup as well. So Ortega is somebody I like in terms of a dog here, as well as Jalen Turner. 7,800. I like Turner as well. I think Medic is very unproven. I think he's very untested. Turner has seen a second round, has seen a third round before, and Medic really hasn't. Turner's fought the much better competition, and it's really not even close. He's fought guys like Matt Favola, Vicente Luque, guys like that. And, Medic has been running through people. I don't know if he does that to Turner. It's possible. But if he doesn't, I think Turner can implement some wrestling. He has a very good ground game. I believe he's a brown belt in BJJ as well. Very dangerous on the mat. And we have seen Medic taken down by some very questionable competition and controlled by some very questionable competition as well. So I think if Jalen Turner does go to that ground game, he'll have an advantage. But even on the feet, he's going to have a big reach advantage, a big height advantage. This guy is huge for the division. And I think he could potentially beat Medic here for sure. I mean, the only thing is, Medic is very dangerous early. He could starch Turner, but if not, if it gets extended, I do favor Turner in that aspect. So Turner is somebody I do like, 7,800. I like the fight as a whole, but Turner did stick out to me in terms of a live dog. Moving on, Jonathan Pierce is somebody else, touched on a little bit. I think Jonathan Pierce puts up a phenomenal pace in terms of the striking, lots of output, in terms of the wrestling, lots of takedowns. Thus far in the UFC, and he's averaging 8.8 significant strikes per minute with 5.91 takedowns per 15 minutes as well. Going against Omar Morales, who, his takedown defense looks good on paper, but it hasn't really been tested. He's been fighting only strikers thus far in his career. And I think Jonathan Pierce could potentially put on a heavy pace and maybe take over as the fight goes on. And if he does that, it's going to score a ton. We saw him score a crazy amount against Kai Kamok in his last fight. And I think Morales is a lot better than Kai Kamok. But Morales is 35 years old, about to turn 36. He's getting up there in age for a featherweight. And wouldn't it shock me if Jonathan Pierce just put on a crazy enough pace to maybe slow Morales down and maybe even finish Morales late. So Pierce is somebody I'm looking at. If he does win, it's going to score a ton just the way he fights. But yeah, that fight as a whole, the first fight of the night, is something I do have my eye on. And then Marlon Moraes, 7,300. He's very dangerous. He's fought the much better competition, and it's not even close. The problem is he's very dangerous for about a round, and he has a terrible gas tank. But he's going to have the striking advantage. He's going to have the grappling advantage. Obviously, the wrestling advantage goes to Merab, and the cardio advantage. But yeah, he's going to be live for about a round. If Marlon Moraes does win, there's a good chance that it is in that round one. And at that point, if he does get that round one finish, it's going to be on the optimal lineup. So Moraes is somebody I do have quite interested in, 7,300. But if not, if he does not get that first round finish, he's going to lose, right? Merab's going to take over. Merab puts on such a heavy pace that Moraes is not going to be able to keep up with. So I do like Marlon Moraes in terms of probably a low owned play down in that range. There's not much down in that range, and I think Moraes is somebody that if he does win, it's going to be more than likely in the first round and more than likely optimal. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, 7,000. Curtis Blades has been knocked out several times in his career, mind you, by Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou, but Jairzinho Rozenstruik definitely has a ton of power, and it wouldn't shock me. This is a heavyweight fight. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is definitely live for a knockout. I think he's personally going to get taken down and get knocked out on the ground, but maybe he catches Curtis Blades on the way in. Maybe Curtis Blades, takes too long to shoot him for a takedown. Something like that can very well happen, and Rozenstruik is, a very hard hitter, and Blades has been knocked out a bunch. So I think Rozenstruik at 7,000 is a solid punt option. And then fades, Lauren Murphy, 6,700. No thank you. I think she gets destroyed here. I think she gets finished in a very brutal fashion. I think Shevchenko destroys her. I mean, just the way she destroyed somebody like Andrade. She made Andrade look like she was a bum, and Andrade is nowhere near a bum. And I think she's going to, do the same thing, if not worse, than Lauren Murphy here. So yeah, 6,700. No thank you. I think Shevchenko does get it done, however she wants, really. And yeah, guys, that's about it. I want to remind you guys, it's always a great time to become a member of the Patreon, receive a full access to my model, all the stats you need for the week, premium projections, lineup optimizer, GPP lineup percentages, DraftKings article, access to Discord, and much, much more. $10 a month. Very cheap price there. Really does help me out. Hopefully does help you guys out as well. But yeah, if you guys can leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Tune into the live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time after the weigh-ins, and then Saturday as well, giving the best bet for each and every fight on the card. And yeah, that's about it. It should be a fun card. Can't wait to be there in attendance. Hopefully it delivers, and I think it will. Good luck, guys, and let's make some money for UFC 266. See ya.